A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in fury. An anomaly, properties undiscernible.
This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions because that's what we always sometimes do. I'm your host, Pete the Planner, and special this week in studio instead of behind the scenes, we welcome producer Nicole. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. We got 3 great financial questions this week we're going to go through, and we begin right away. We're jumping right into it because I feel like we're going to discuss this one for a while. It is from a man. Due to the sensitive nature of this question,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give his name.
No, I agree.
I don't know. Pete, I would like your opinion. My son, and then he gave the kid's name, which I'm not going to give you, recently got married, and they're both 25 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they make you look really young. His wife is a pharmacist and makes more money than he does. We call that marrying up. I added that part.
Oh, I like that, though.
She took on over $200,000 in debt for her degree. My son has a BS, which I assume means a Bachelor of Science.
Yeah,
And an MBA, and graduated both degrees without any debt. And then in a parenthetical phrase, my friend wrote in the email, I was very instrumental in him achieving that goal. I like that. It's a little bit extra.
He's like, yeah, I need you to know that.
Just so you know, I'm a big deal. Continuing. The wife, I assume he means his son's wife, basically calls the shots in their finances. They use one joint account to pay for all of their combined bills. So Obvi, my son, he put obviously, but I put Obvi to freshen it up.
Because,
Sometimes I know words. So Obvi, my son is paying toward her student loans. I'm not sure he should be paying her loans, but that's his decision. He's in his 3rd year of his career with a large corporation. The first year he took my advice and maxed out both his company 401k and his maximum IRA contribution. That's great. The last 2 years, he is only making the 401k. I told him if he wants to pay toward her loans, that's up to him, but I wouldn't do that until his retirement contributions are fully maxed out. I don't think it's fair to my son otherwise. They also bought a $300,000 house recently with a $60,000 down payment, $30,000 of which was a gift to them from my wife and I as an early partial inheritance. What are your opinions? I have several opinions.
Same.
Well,
wow.
All right, Hollywood Square style.
So just at first glance at this, can
Yes.
we agree or discuss at the fact that maybe the dad is kind of a, please just do what I want you to do?
Possibly. I would view this as a more, I don't know what I'm about to say if it's insulting or not. I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be insensitive. I just call it like I see it. This is very helicopter-y.
Yeah.
He's
still a little too involved. If he and his wife, they're married, they're a couple. There's obviously a future that is going to exist between the two of them. And the father still seems, for whatever reason, to be acting like that this isn't a forever thing. That he sees he's acting as if there's
a possibility this doesn't work out.
Yes.
I feel that way too.
There's a total tone to that, and I don't feel like that is helping the situation of what he wants his son to do.
No, I'm a father.
Yes.
And I can tell you that my feelings about what I want best for my children have developed over the years and have gotten stronger. So like last night at Ted's Little League game, he wasn't paying attention. A ball got hit by him that he should have got.
Yeah.
And I got sort of frustrated, not at him for any other reason than I want him what's best for him. And I want him to learn that he should pay attention.
Yeah.
Right? This is all internal frustration.
Right.
I still let him eat dinner and everything.
Yeah. Just this once.
Just this once. and I don't know if that's this email's that different in the sense that my man just wants what's best for his son. And there's actually nothing wrong with that.
No. However, I think, especially as an individual who is close to this age, I'm very aware that my parents want what is best for me,
Sure.
as they always have. But there is a way for you to deliver this of your well wishes and how you think that your child should go about these things without making it come across as this is what you need to do, and I'm not going to support you if you don't do so.
And I actually don't feel that guy is going there. I think that's a really good point. I don't think he's crossed that line because he's basically weighed in, and that's all he can do. I'll say this, and this is my personal opinion, and this is an opinion based on talking to tens of thousands of people about their financial lives.
Yeah.
I think if you get married young, you as a couple take on everyone's debt.
Yeah. I think it goes back to that whole of when you get married, your income is your income. It's not someone gets a vote or someone gets more because they make more. It's this is your income. So when you get married, when you take on the debts, this is your debt. That's a goal for the two of you to get rid of those.
Yeah, because didn't she married into the emailer's wealth?
Yeah.
I mean, she gets part of the early inheritance. She is getting the fact that her husband had an education that didn't cost him in the aftermath. She married into that.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, or fortunately, the son has to marry into her debt.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those two. If they're so concerned about paying off this student loan debt before they do anything else, then why would you buy a $300,000 house?
That's a bigger point.
You know?
And the point there, too, is I am staunchly against down payment assistance from parents.
Yes.
It is incredibly common. I burn bridges every time I talk about it. I don't particularly care because I find that it artificially makes someone feel like they're ready for that step in their life because it gets trivialized down to, well, it's basically a glorified form of renting since I got the down payment assistance and this is better than renting. And I just disagree with that. But it's not like someone who gets the down payment's a bad person or someone who gives the down payment's a bad person. I think the bigger issue is there's just stuff all over the place here. Number one, I think the son is absolutely responsible for establishing household goals, which include attacking their joint debt.
Yeah, I agree.
And I view her debt to be their joint debt.
Because they're married. It's like one of those, my special friend and I, we each have our own student loans, but we're not married. So therefore, that is still our own student loan debt to pay down ourselves.
I mean, I don't know. I'm going to get really weird, and I'll probably end up disagreeing with myself. I think you end up marrying someone's past when you marry them.
Yeah, if that debt is still there.
Yeah, I mean, just in general. I mean, even more philosophically, you marry who that person was.
Yeah.
And the situations they've been through.
Right.
And I think the manifestation of that financially is a student loan. So I think that a parent should not weigh in on they can weigh in. I just disagree because I'm weighing in that the son shouldn't pay off the debt.
Yeah. I think it's the parent is just still a little too involved.
I agree with that. I do think it is great that the dad, the emailer, got the son to put that much into his 401k.
Oh, gosh, absolutely.
That's fantastic. I mean, that step alone will likely make this couple millionaires.
I think it's one of those two that if the son is taking aspects of the father's advice, the dad has to look at this as his child is thinking about the financial decisions that he's making. And he's now got to trust that if the son needs guidance, he will come to him for that.
Yeah.
But also let the son start to make some of his own decisions and be able to own some of those decisions.
I've seen this situation so many times. The emailer is, and I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead, is a very financially successful person.
Oh, yeah. A father wouldn't have his son maxing out his...
No,
at that age, no way.
So... it's almost like, well, I'm successful, so I'm going to show you what it takes to be successful too. And there's some of that.
Oh yeah.
And he's right. The emailer's right.
Absolutely.
What he has done is right. But that actually has an end point to it, or it should have an end point to it.
I agree.
Because now it's getting into relationship stuff as opposed to financial advice, which you can get relationship advice from your parents. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, the person emailed me, asked for my opinion, and my opinion is this. I'm okay that the guy's not maxing out his IRA right now. They're going to be buying a house very quickly upon being 25, a $300,000 house. They both obviously make good money. If she's a pharmacist and his son's got an MBA and then they're probably making $250.
Oh, easily.
So yeah, I mean,
I think let the kid live for a little while. He's making some good decisions, obviously.
I agree. I think there's
let
good
him live
decisions
for a
being
little
made.
bit.
Yeah.
He's on a good track.
So here's how this works. When you email us a question, what we try to do is if we put it on the air, I'm not going to email you back sometimes, we'll try to send you the audio. Like we'll send you a link to this week's show. And so if you're listening to this right now, emailer, you know your name.
Hi, emailer.
By the way, I can see what this person does for a living now, the emailer. It's a pretty analytical field. It's a pretty...
So the way they're going about this makes sense.
It's not an accountant, but it's sort of a brain of an accountant.
Right on.
The brain of an engineer, if you will.
What's that like?
I can't talk to him. All right, so
Shout out, Dad.
There we go. I feel good about that.
Yeah, I do too.
How do you like him being in studio this week?
It's kind of fun. I like it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the viewers say. If you haven't already, go to PeteThePlanner.tv, our new series, Pete's Eats.
It's fun.
It's fun, where we cook $10 meals for a family of 4. The family of 4 being, well, more than 4 adults that work in our office.
Office of 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Coming up after the break, we're going to hit a young guy who just started his career, wants to know what sort of backup plan needs to be in place. This guy emailed us. He's going for it. You can tell he's going to swing for the fences. He's going to try to make millions and millions of dollars in a healthy way. And he wants to know how to establish the base for that. All that is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner.
Stop what you're doing. Log on and hit Pete up on Twitter at Pete the Planner.
Primo beat, man. Kanye let this one go. Man. Sound good to me. I never question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion.
Back on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Here answering your money questions. Your money questions answered, just another way to say it. Go to Ask Pete. That's all one word. It's 2 words, but I want you to keep the space. Space saving. Go to Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Producer Nicole joins us in studio today.
Hello.
Hello. You're sitting on pillows.
2, yeah.
2 pillows because you're petite.
Thank you.
That word seems condescending. My wife is petite.
Yeah. But
Isn't it?
There's nothing worse than someone coming up to you and being like, "Wow, you're short."
Yeah.
And I like to kind of like look around and be like, "I am."
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. It's been happening to my wife entire life. All right, this email, I spoke to a group of college kids at a kegger. No, at an event this week. And so I got an email from a young guy there, and I'm just going to read it now. So here we go. I'm going to read the whole email, and it's going to seem self-congratulatory, but it is what it is.
Whatever.
Hello, Pete. Nice talk. Although we were facing some technical difficulties, your humor definitely helped remedy this problem a lot. And that's the first lesson for today. Humor cures all.
I like that lesson.
I really enjoyed your talk, and the power percentage is definitely something I need to calculate later on in my career. If you're listening right now and you have no idea what power percentage is, I encourage you to find the heck out. Go to the $1 Million Plan podcast. That's our podcast. Or just go to PeteThePlanner.com. Episode 120.
120.
120. Nicole, I looked at you and pointed at you, and you got this panic look of, I don't know that episode number, brother.
But you did.
I do.
It'll also be linked.
However, I have 2 tricky questions. First, let me introduce my background. This is very formal. I would like to be an entrepreneur sometime in my career and probably planning on doing something big. Who doesn't want to go bold? I don't know. So when do you think, So when do you think is the best time to start my own career? I assume in meaning entrepreneurship. What should I do, or what resources do I have if I go broke or bankrupt in failing my attempt? What is the minimum amount of money that I can live by, basically just survive per month? The same question Elon Musk asked himself in order to survive even after numerous failures before. What happens to my 401k if I get fired by my employer right after I got employed? For instance, after 1.5 years. Thanks in advance for your time and effort. Best wishes. This guy's name. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, and this does sound condescending, and it's not meant to be. These are the questions of a young person that hasn't got to like just go through the motions at all yet.
Right. Yeah. No.
Which is fine. I mean,
not everyone works in the financial wellness world at 24.
Yeah, I think this is interesting because this is a person that you can tell wants to swing for the fences, but is practical enough as a Midwesterner to want to make, I want to make sure I can pay the bills.
I appreciate that, though.
I will say this about risk. I also hate the term serial entrepreneur. However, serial entrepreneur and a guy who sold close to $1 billion worth of companies, Don Brown told me once on this show several years ago, when you're as young as this person is who's emailing, there is no such thing as risk.
Right.
So when this person looks at this like, oh, I got to take a lot of risk to become an entrepreneur, well, what Don Brown is suggesting is there's no risk. What are you risking?
Yeah.
You're 20-nothing years old. You have nothing. You're risking nothing. If you can't take risks now, when are you going to take risks? So I think that's a really important element to all of this. Number two, what's the minimum amount of money someone can live on to survive? That is really based on your standard of living. But as a 20-something-year-old tech person, $1,500 a month if you're really bare bones scraping by?
Yeah.
Maybe. The key is, like, how do you find work-life balance so that you don't burn out?
Absolutely.
At that age, which a lot of those guys do.
Because especially if then your weekends and free time become all of you just grinding on whatever your next move is, absolutely you're going to burn yourself out.
He wants to know what happens to his 401k if he gets fired. Planning to get fired is audacious and bodacious. It's all the dacious. First of all, if you get fired, nothing happens to your 401k. It's still yours. It's your money. It's an account that is set up through your employer, but your employer doesn't get to keep it. However, what could happen is that your employer match may have a vesting schedule. So, Nicole, you receive a match here at the Peter Home office.
I do.
And I don't think we have a vesting schedule. I think you're immediately vested, meaning what I match, what I put in on your behalf, at some companies, if you were to leave within a certain time frame, I take that money back.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty common. So, young man emailing, it's possible that the contributions your employer makes, they'll pull back, but you get to keep your money. Make sense? Did we answer all of this? What's the minimum money? What should I do, or what resources do I have if I go broke or bankrupt? You only go bankrupt if you have so many debts that you can't carry those debts forward. So I don't know what sort of student loans this guy will have, but you can't, as of right now, you can't file bankruptcy on student loans, so that doesn't matter.
So, write that off.
So unless he takes on consumer debt or business loans for starting up this business, I mean, you can't take on a business loan when you're a startup entrepreneur prior to like venture capital funding.
Yeah. You
would have to finance it with credit cards, which I don't want to say is a good or a bad idea. That's what people do. So the potential bankruptcy would come from, you have tens of thousands of dollars of personal credit card debt.
Yeah.
The business fails, you're still responsible for that debt. And so then one might consider filing bankruptcy to get rid of those debts. Yeah, but I mean, look, I would just take my comment back to the whole Don Brown thing.
Yeah.
He was former CEO of Interactive Intelligence, and
especially because there's just him that's got skin in the game right now. Like, he's not having to support any other humans other than himself.
That's a big part of this. I mean, even as dumb as this sounds, even getting a cat, it means you got something dependent on you. You know what I mean? Like,
because if the cat gets sick.
Yeah. But if it's just you and you were just trying to build something great, there is no risk.
No, especially if you want it badly enough. If this is something that you're willing to commit seriously enough to, you'll be willing to make the sacrifices to eat cups of noodles. And
it's funny. I usually don't like to go that route. However, you're right in this circumstance. Like, just eat ramen, and there's sort of a joke, or I'm just going to eat beans, and it's like, okay. But on some level, that's what it means to have no risk.
Yeah.
because this guy really can make that happen.
Absolutely.
All right, if you want your question answered, emails, askpete@petetheplanner.com. Coming up after the break, we're going to go, we haven't even discussed what we're doing in the next segment. I haven't quite decided myself yet. Although, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to discuss the following question. What is the one thing people need to do universally right now, in America specifically, to improve their financial lives? What is the one element that is missing in America in 2018? That is next. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the Pete the Planner Show.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher. ATFU. Naptown. Yeah. East of Betty and Fredo. Helicopter choppers. Yeah, y'all ain't hip yet. Cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards. Old soul playing on my speakers. Old soul but young and age a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me Gary.
Back on the Pete the Planner Show, I'm Pete the Planner. Pointing at the camera, you can watch it at petetheplanner.tv. In studios, Nicole, hi.
Hi.
I got you out from behind the magic curtain this week.
Feels magical.
How great of a job is intern Aaliyah doing?
She's doing amazing.
She's amazing. You can see Aaliyah's work at petetheplanner.tv. She produced and directed and shot and edited the first episode of Pete's Eats. You can find that at petetheplanner.tv. And we recorded an episode this morning. A little brunch for the crew.
It was delicious.
I think so. All right, Nicole, this is a heady topic here. The question in front of us is, what is the one thing people need to do in their financial lives in 2018 as a culture in America? What is missing? Why are all the bad statistics continuously the same? Why do we always have people like average balance in America is $10,000 and that the average person can't come up with $400 in an emergency? Like, why do all of these things happen other than wages? Because we're not going to address wages today because I don't want this to turn into, well, there's a giant wage gap, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I'm not disputing that.
No.
I think there's just another issue that I have discovered in the last 20 years of doing this.
Yeah.
And how financial educators like myself have changed our approach over the last 20 years, I believe, is proof that this issue exists.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I may, give you a little history lesson here.
Oh.
The late 90s, how old were you?
I was born in 94, so
Okay.
probably 4 or 5.
Okay, late 90s, here was what was going on. You've heard of the dot-com bubble?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so a lot of dot-coms were coming out in the late 90s where the internet companies were just booming, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then there's the bubble, they all popped, burst, or whatever, and people lost a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But really what was happening in America from a retirement standpoint and an education standpoint at that time is that we began to realize that the first part of the baby boomers didn't necessarily have enough money saved for retirement. It was the first inkling that there was a retirement crisis.
Yeah.
And the reason for that crisis is because since the mid-1970s, pensions had been on the decline. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was the retirement and financial industry that we're in, and I was even in 98, they decided to start doing workplace education, like in break rooms all across the country. You know, the 401k guy would come in, and the following conversation would take place. I'm the financial guy.
Okay.
You're the worker, and you're going to say, I can't afford to, after I say the first line.
Thank you for priming me.
You need to save more for retirement.
I can't afford to.
You can't afford not to. And then that's what happened in the late 90s. And so
that's so debilitating.
It's a lot of things. It's sort of
so many things.
But here's what it began to do. It began to tell that generation of workers and workers behind that it was no longer their employer's responsibility to fund their retirement.
Yeah.
So that was an important step, although the effectiveness of telling someone you can't afford not to is sort of dumb. Okay? So then the turn of the millennium happened, and I thought that Y2K was going to be real, and I had water at our house.
That's okay.
I really thought Y2K was going to be a disaster. No one cares. And this ushered in the era of credit card debt.
Yeah.
Like consumers getting tens of thousands of dollars deep in credit card debt became very real in the early 2000s. And home ownership became really important because lenders and banks started saying, we can let these people get deep in debt and in so doing, make a lot of money off of them.
Yeah.
Use their own greed and consumer interests and market and leaning into that to cause them problems, but to make things good for us.
Right. Yeah.
All the while holding our hands up and saying, hey, you're making the decisions. So that happened. So then what ended up, yeah, it did. And so what ended up happening was financial education during that time really became about getting people out of credit card debt. That was sort of early 2000s. Well, that led up to 2007, 2008, when the entire economy collapsed because people were so leveraged.
Right. Yeah.
Specifically with home ownership. So then this was actually a really good thing. I'm getting to my point. Don't you worry. This was a really good thing for financial education because everyone was in shambles.
Yeah.
So people paid attention because they were terrified. You could build someone's life back from scratch in about 2009. March of 2009 were like the heyday of my career.
Yeah.
Because people would listen. Like people were like, yes, I'm desperate. I need help. And the personal savings rate in our country went up because people were so terrified they'd stop spending money and started saving money, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So then, around 2012 or so, once people sort of rebuilt their lives over this 3-year period by using the fundamentals, then these subprime lending practices came back and banks started saying, okay, everyone's secure now, let's do it again. So then what we had to do is people's behaviors started to suffer again. And so then starting around 2012, our job as financial educators became to modify the bad behaviors of those people we served. And money was a lot less about math than it was about behavior from 2012 up until current, modern times.
Yeah.
Which, not that 2012 is not modern times, but today.
But to today.
Which is where we're at. But here's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, I try not to do this very often on the show. I've been doing this as long as anyone in the world when it comes to financial education. Yeah. So we are always sort of on the cutting edge because we've been there the whole time. Here's what's next. I know what's next, but I don't know exactly how we're going to do it. I'm just sharing it with you though.
I know. Oh, I know.
Here's the problem. People don't care.
No.
People don't care that the math doesn't work.
No, because they got the stuff.
They have stuff, but then they do this thing of saying, you know what, it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
It won't. Eventually, one day, it will not work out.
No, I mean, and the weird thing is, it's not working out. We're more tolerant, as we've been talking the last couple months on the show, we've become more tolerant of bad situations, which means we're numb to them.
What a horrible thing.
Yeah.
So that's why our country is the way it is in general right now.
In a lot of instances, I would agree. Now, here's the issue. Not only do you have to acknowledge that something's wrong,
yeah,
you have to care enough to want to change it.
Yeah.
And then becomes the step of behavior modification, of behavior change, you taking action. But I think we're currently stuck as a culture of people simply not caring that they're headed for a disaster. And it's all under the guise and an assumption that something's going to come along and fix this for them. And I'm not talking the economy or the market or the government. I'm talking about an individual making the personal finance decisions in front of them and seeing that mathematically they're putting away, on average, I think less than 4% of their income towards the future, which, Nicole, I was going to say it's virtually impossible to succeed. It's not even virtually impossible. It is impossible to succeed financially if you're putting 4% of your income away. Impossible. And so if you hear that, if you're listening on the radio right now or you're watching on PeteThePlanner.tv and you hear me say this, and this is your reality, like you look at it like, well, I'm putting away 4%. Okay, I'm talking to you then. You have to care. And that's why what's tough about this, Nicole, is it's really easy to get distracted by the wage gap, the wage issue.
Yeah.
And I am not insensitive to that. I understand that if someone's making below living wage in our country, their chances of financial success aren't great. I'm actually going to do this right now. I'm going to look up the living wage calculator, which will tell us in Marion County. We'll go with Marion County, Indiana. Okay. Yeah. Marion County, which is the Indianapolis proper area, if you will, if you're listening outside of our area. I want to tell you what living wage is in Marion County, Indiana. We're looking it up right now. You can find this at livingwage.mit.edu. MIT is in Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's livingwage.mit.edu. If you are one adult living alone, living wage in Marion County, Indiana means you'd have to make $11 an hour to survive. Minimum wage is $7.25.
Yes.
Poverty wage is $5. I don't even know how that works. One adult, one child, single parent raising a kid, doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
Living wage, $22.85. That means if you're a single adult making less, a parent, I should say,
right,
making less than roughly $40,000 a year, you make below living wage, caring is not the issue for you.
No.
Your wages are the issue.
Yeah.
Caring only becomes an issue if you're making above living wage and you're not funding the things you should fund.
Yeah.
2 adults, no children. Let's find this one. 2 adults, no children. This one's crazy. 2 adults, okay. $8.94 is living wage. Okay, so it reverses backwards. Okay, $8.94. So anyway, check this out. Go to livingwage.mit.edu. The big issue right now in our country in terms of financial lives, once you make above living wage, is caring about what the math says, because the math isn't good. Coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week and more. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the Pete the Planner Show.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane, writing and creating for my life. And my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted by myself, looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. Enemy shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks. Running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. This lays great errors to rest. Let me remain calm.
Back on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. This week, I know what you're wondering. What is the biggest waste of money of the week? I bring producer Nicole, back in studio. I feel like people have actually sent me a lot of submissions this week. Biggest waste of money.
For theirs? Oh, I love it.
However, I'm going to go with, this is not going to sit well with you. We could have a conflict.
Oh, no. What are you going to do?
We may have to call in HR and do conflict resolution.
Oh, boy.
The Kamano coffee grinder. Stick with it.
I am.
There are 3 key ingredients to a great cup of coffee. Do you happen to know what the 3 key ingredients? Because you are a bean head.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what?
I'll take that. Yeah, you have to have good beans.
Good beans.
I like to have single origin.
Who cares? Go ahead.
Water treated specifically for your coffee, depending on where and what kind it is.
Okay.
And then also your grinder, the grind that you're doing for your coffee, based on how you're gonna prepare it.
Okay, so you were basically right. So the bean, you got to have the right bean to have a good cup of coffee. The right brew, which I think is essentially what you were saying with the water and like the right temperature and all of that.
Right. Well, then you especially treat the water so that it's not super minerally, because it'll make your coffee taste weird.
Whatevs. And then the right grind. The Kamano coffee grinder ensures you get the last one right every time. It has a cast iron top, arch, and hopper that works in conjunction with a ceramic burr to provide a precise, consistent grind. All that sits atop a wooden base, which attaches to a ball jar to hold the ground coffee, giving it an old-timey look while ensuring dependable performance for years to come. Made by hand, every component is also made in these United States of America. Nicole?
Oh, that thing's at least like $400.
No, it's much more reasonable.
Really?
It's $95.
Oh my God.
But that is not reasonable. $95 for a coffee grinder?
Yeah.
Let's go to Amazon right now. Let's see what coffee grinding is. Because we have a little, I think it's like a Braun coffee grinder. There's no consistency to it. So we grind it. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's coarse. No one cares.
See, it's your own fault then. Why would you do that?
Because it doesn't matter to us. We just need the drugs.
Okay.
We
then
just need the caffeine.
If it doesn't matter to you, then I respect that.
$18 is what we spent on ours. Although I will say here, there is a $163 coffee grinder. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go to Amazon and see what the most expensive coffee grinder is on Amazon. What do you think it is?
You don't want to know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't.
Okay, well, I'm about to find.
Yeah, I told you.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with people?
Don't Google how much like a La Marzocco espresso machine is.
Well, I know how much those are.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, but
Here's a $3,000 coffee grinder.
yeah, let me see.
The Kuban
Yeah.
coffee grinder. But I mean,
Yeah.
who cares? This is absurd.
But does your cup of coffee taste delicious when you go to your little specialty shops?
So you are making the argument that I'm not going to argue against necessarily,
Yes.
that what makes a good cup of coffee when you go to a coffee shop
Yeah.
is the grind.
It's important.
That's a big part of this.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't know unless you know.
I don't know.
Well, because there are different types. So if you're doing a French press or you're doing a regular pour over, if it's for espresso, like there are different grind settings that you have to have.
But I guess
for
this
that.
is the dumbest question I've ever asked on the show. Also the most insightful. But isn't that dumb to spend your money on like the grinder if you're not like making money off of the coffee you're selling?
If you're not serious about it, and if you're not using beans that require something like that, yeah, absolutely. Like if you're just doing it because you got cash laying around,
Yeah.
that's stupid. You could use that for so many other things. But for my special friend who makes probably the best cup of coffee I've ever had,
He's never made me a cup of coffee.
that's your own fault.
I don't know if it's my fault. It feels like it's his fault. Let's make the rest of the show about him.
Okay.
Him not making me coffee. But here's the thing: the coffee, like I have coffee every morning. I have a.
You didn't for a while, and I don't know how.
I
you
was
did.
off the coffee when I was trying to kick the heartburn, which has been kicked. Had to reset the gut.
Proud of you.
Thank you. I did have yogurt this morning.
I saw lemon. How was that?
It's delicious. That's that Noosa.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
it is good stuff.
They spell yogurt with an H.
That's how you know that it's
Good.
a real deal.
That's made in like Colorado Springs, the Noosa. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I did. Have you ever had their coconut yogurt?
No, I haven't.
It's delicious. Okay, so that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Oh, man. So here's what I would encourage you to do if you're watching at PeteThePlanner.tv right now. Click on over to Pete's Eats. It's our new series. I think we're going to do a 4-part mini-series.
Yeah.
Intern Aaliyah is putting together. She is a media student
Yeah.
at Ball State University. She's really good, and it's her great work. So watch the, what do we make? A grilled burrito with salsa verde.
It was delicious.
I made it for 6 adults
We're sorry we didn't put any
for
extra-
$10.
For $10.
And there was not vegetables.
We're not sorry.
So check that out. Of course, you can always email us. The whole point of this program, whether you listen on the radio, you watch on PeteThePlanner.tv, or you pick up the podcast, the whole point of the program is you have financial questions, and if they get stuck in your brain and you don't act on them because you don't know the answer, that creates a blockage, which means that you delay making decisions that you should make, and your life goes, then you stop caring.
like that, yeah.
You stop caring. So email us, askpete@PeteThePlanner.tv. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. A few disclaimers before I leave you for the day. Or maybe these aren't disclaimers as much as notes. Here's some notes. Number one, as I said in the first segment, I'm generally opposed to the gifted or loaned down payment. When a parent does that, that's just my opinion. It's an educated one. It's just my opinion, but that doesn't mean if you did that, you're a bad person. In fact, you're a loving person.
It's generous.
It's very generous. It's a nice thing to do. I have just found that the failure rate on that is higher than it should be. Maybe that's the way to say it.
It makes us feel uncomfy about it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It seems like someone's giving you $10,000 or whatever more for down payment on a home. That doesn't seem like a scenario that should be messed up as much as it is.
Right.
And it gets pretty messed up. Disclaimer number 2, if you email me and ask for my opinion, and I give my opinion, and it's not fun to hear, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I want you to know I'm not making fun of you. I don't think we've ever made fun of someone on this show for doing something I disagree with.
No. Because everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah, I think if you're asking me what you're asking for, what is the technical and practical way to make this better? So,
right, I agree.
Those are my notes to end the show. Please go to PeteThePlanner.tv, watch Pete's Eats. Nicole, thanks for sitting in studio.
Thanks for having me in studio.
It's hot in here.
It is really hot in here.
God, it's dying. Okay, that's all we have time for. Sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the Pete the Planner Show.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?